Okay, we are. um, these are lessons in the Workbook Course of Miracles, and today's is number 253. And remember, the contemplation for today is sin. Remember, sin is insanity. Is the idea. Oh, it's really funny. When you read what sin is today, and you read today's lesson, you either have to have been prepared by having accepted a theoretical framework that would allow this lesson to make sense. Otherwise, because without that theoretical framework, when you consider what this lesson is saying, the ego is going to rear its head up and try to convince you that it's time to throw the book out and seek another path. Lesson 253, my self is ruler of the universe. And I've never known Jesus to be pronominally challenged. So when he uses the word my, the self that is the ruler of the universe becomes a very, very personal affair. It's not the same self, or it's not the same idea as maintaining detachment from the world and sitting in a self that is not involved. It's accepting full responsibility for yourself and for all your decisions, so as to recognize who you are in reality. Whether or not you believe it is an entirely another story. But if you've gotten this far in these lessons, I'm not going to say you're not going to meet resistance to what this lesson is saying. And what I would say is this. In theory, when we read this lesson to ourselves, there's a lot of head nodding. Oh, yeah, that sounds great. But when it comes to what it means in the application of it for your daily life, in this particular world, it's something that you really need to consider, rather than just acquiesce to, so that you can get full benefit of what Jesus is saying. And you may be insulted for a moment. You may be tempted to try to think that there is a situation within the world of space and time that comes to you that this does not apply to. And remember, there was an admonition by Jesus early on that we are in these lessons to make no specific exclusions based on what we think represents preferences that either excite us or cause us to experience fear. So we're not going to leave anything out, and this lesson is an all-encompassing lesson that represents, when you look at it within the right perspective, the truth of who you and I are in relationship to each other and to the universe. And remember, we're saying that there's a universe, there's a reality that we are part and parcel of. We are whole, perfect, functioning aspects of a reality of a single light extension emanating, extending its own life in a shared modality, because each do you understand that your Father created you exactly like himself, and if he is to create, he must create like you? So in the sense that you're a whole perfect replica, a total replica, part of the totality of the reality, which each part extends creatively as reality. In the world of space and time, where due to the failure to laugh, the failure to remember to laugh at the tiny mad idea that we could be separate, we've projected a world of space and time where what we remembered not to laugh at, became serious in our minds and our hearts, and in our lack of understanding, an attempt to distance ourselves from it, we projected it out as the world that we live in and is around us, with the forgetting that we are the maker of that world. And this lesson brings everything together into your own single self, where you can recognize the power and, with the right understanding, not reject what's being offered to you, and what you also would offer back to reality, as well as how you would work within the world of space and time to heal the separation and become a demonstration of the truth of the power and glory of the self that we are in reality, that here and now we're becoming to recognize through experiences that are brought to us based on our willingness to simply say yes and follow directions from someone who knows us perfectly well, because we share the same self and he underwent the same process, both of experiencing separation, awakening to the fact that he is separated. Last night as I was going to bed after I read this, there was a line that kept on going around and around and around in my mind. Not in a sense, a disturbing sense, let's say, but as something that is necessary to remember. And the line was this: awakening here is the recognition of dreaming. Awakening here is the recognition of the fact that you are dreaming. And you are the dreamer of that dream. Myself is the ruler of the universe. It is possible that anything should come to me unbidden by myself. There it is. And this is, there's many misunderstandings based on the ego's ability to interpret scripture for its own purpose, rather than people turning to that which they are one with and knows. He who knows. It's good. On occasion, the Holy Spirit is referred to as the one who knows. And turning to the one who knows, whom they can communicate perfectly well with if they want to, when they desire. When your desire, ask and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. And that's what they're talking about. The Spirit is always available to you, and it's just waiting for you to give it the nod, an unequivocal nod of your willingness. Because if the Spirit came onto you in an unwilling mood, it would drive you crazy, because you would still be attempting to interpret it from within the guilty and fearful framework of the illusion, without the practice and discipline and understanding of why these occurrences happen, based on the power of your mind. Remember, nothing can come to you unbidden. All right? What happens is what I desire. Now, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult for people without a frame of reference that is founded in A Course in Miracles, where full responsibility represents total freedom. It's going to be very difficult for many people to look around in the world today and accept this as true. And that's quite all right. Yet there will come a time, and did, when that acceptance becomes welcome to them because they recognize it as their freedom, as you have come to recognize it as your freedom, and you're welcoming rather than rejecting what's being brought to you, because the self that is the ruler of the universe is constantly seeking the integrity of its own creative reality based on the nature of the truth of who it was created to be. And that integrity and struggle and striving for integrity is being played out and experienced within your body as a vehicle of communication, trying to attempt to get your attention so as you can begin to make decisions in union with the process and in harmony with the awakening and salvation of the world, rather than thinking that the world in space and time has something to offer, and the constant attempt to utilize that which is not at home in the world, within the world of space and time, for the ego's purpose, leaves you in a condition of sickness, pain, suffering, and death. Even in this world, it is I who rule my destiny. I know, try to tell that to people who to the refugees, who feel they had no choice but to leave their land, but chose to leave their land, that it is their choice to be living like this. That they're responsible. And yet in the responsible lies the freedom. However, the ego fosters the belief that finding the responsible party that is causing people to be fearful and guilty and eliminating that will solve the problem. That's never been true. And the reason is obvious, because it depends on the side that you're making the decisions from as to the rightness and wrongness of your pursuit. What happens is what I desire. What does not occur is what I do not want to happen. This I must accept. Here's one of the statements. I must accept this. An interesting experience when I went through one of my revelatory moments in the beginning, because this obviously is the recognition of your own self as being the ruler of the universe, both here in space and time as well as in reality. When that dawns on you, it dawns on you in a moment when you know perfectly well who you are. Recognize this as an illusion. Let's call it a revelatory moment. Okay? When I was in that revelatory moment, and I remember Jesus said to me, you're doing this to yourself. And it was like the acceptance of full responsibility alleviated my necessity and the reasonability within my mind that I should fear God, my creator. Because I accepted full responsibility for everything, including the emotions that were telling me and trying to foster a condition wherein which sin seemed to be possible. I could be crazy and think that something impossible actually happened and was now what was real. So I remember doing this. And the brilliance of the experience stays with me today. In the moment when Jesus said to me, you're doing this to yourself, and it was like when he put that key in me and unlocked the lock I didn't know I had. And there I was in the presence of God, where everything was being revealed to me in a moment that had zero to do with the world of space and time. And the truth is, within which the world of space and time was simply a past dream that had been healed and salvation had been achieved. And I began in my mind to put forth questions, let's say, or to try to confront. We do this. It's okay. We all do this. Many of us do this. We do it in the world, and we'll do it as above, so below, as within, so without. And we do it because we're demanding proof. We're tired of being fooled again. We don't want to be fooled again. So I remember I began in my mind to formulate a situation wherein which I felt that this was not true. Meaning, what happens is what I desire. What does not occur is what I do not want to happen. And every time I attempted to formulate a condition wherein which this could be proved as not true, the light and love of God, in the simplicity of its own singular reasonability, demonstrated the inability for this to have any exceptions. And in that I was glad, because now I had something to put total trust. And experientially went by the need for faith and belief in that instant as well. This I must accept. Of course, because any exception held apart contains the entirety of the desire for separation. Remember, even the most minute exception held apart from healing contains the entirety of the formula and the mechanisms for separation to continue to be the operating principle in your heart and mind, and therefore the world within which you think you inhabit. For this I must accept, for thus I am led past this world to my creations, children of my will. You see how that mimics, how the world mimics reality, and yet it mimics it in a way wherein which the duality of the split mind doesn't offer the solace of certainty, but it is constantly fostering the dualistic and therefore unnerving sense of separation, and therefore happenings and outcomes that seem to be beyond your ability to control, and therefore represent loss, suffering, and sacrifice. For thus I am led past this to this world to creation, children of my will in heaven, where my holy self abides with them, and him who he has created. I just want everybody to understand that Jesus is not talking about some abstract self that is not you, but he's talking about you, myself, yourself. Myself, say that, is ruler of the universe. And don't be afraid by variant approaches to spirituality that try to deny the personal nature of your own relationship with the truth of who you are, and therefore think that an abstraction or non-use of that power a neutrality is going to get you and save you. It can't. You are the self whom you created. You are the self whom you created, Son, creating like yourself and one with you. Myself, which rules the universe, is but your will in perfect union with my own, which can offer glad assent to yours, that it may be extended unto yourself. And if you could sit there and do as Jesus asks, not attempt to understand this as a concept, but attempt to utilize it as a way of opening to the truth of who we are, in the safety and certainty of Jesus' love for you, his brother, and your awareness of the fact that not everything has always been as it seems here, and now you're being restored to the sanity and the solution that's available in your certainty that yourself is the ruler of the universe, and that self is a self of love that cannot suffer loss, is eternal, perfect, whole, and resides where it's always been, in the ever-extending, and here, when we open to it, the ever-renewing and rejuvenating power of life itself.